Hey, I'm Zach. Today I'm excited to show you how to use Warp's input, which is one of its most simple but powerful features. The input is this whole box here, and this is where you tell Warp what you want it to do. And there's two ways you can tell Warp to do things. One is by typing or speaking English to it, and this will trigger the launch of an agent that does things. Or in this exact same input, you can type terminal commands, and those will be executed directly as terminal commands. Let's start with an agent though. So really simple agent would be like, make me a hello world JavaScript app, run it using Node. This is English, obviously. Warp knows that this is natural language. It detects that it's an agent query, and when I hit enter here, it will actually just do the thing I asked it to do. So we'll wait for a second. This is a really fast one. It just, goes ahead and says hello. And then it should run it as well. And by the way, as the agent does stuff, in case you haven't seen other Warp things, you can just open up and see exactly what it's executing. So this ran hello world for me. Very cool. A second thing you can do in the input is run terminal commands, because, Warp's an awesome terminal. So I'll run a few terminal commands here. And as I type them, you can see Warp detects that anything that looks like a terminal command is detected as shell here. It will syntax highlight it, and it will just run it. No fuss. Now, sometimes you know that you want to just be in a mode where you are entering terminal commands or you are just typing English. You can control that in Warp. You can lock Warp in terminal mode by clicking this or hitting Command I. You can hit Command I again, and you'll get into agent mode, and it will sort of cycle back between these two. And if you want, I prefer to leave it in auto detection mode, but it's not perfect. And if you see errors with it, you may want to switch to one of the manual modes. Okay, what else can Warp's input do? Let's talk a little bit more about using it as an agent, and then we'll talk about using it in terminal mode. So in agent mode, you can talk to the input. And so to do that, you will click this voice input, or once you've done it once, you can hold the function key and just talk to it that way. So I'll go ahead and talk to it and say, what's going on in this current branch? Please compare it to master and describe a summary of the changes. And so when I do that, it just puts the English in. I can hit enter again. It's going to do this thing. I'm going to do something else while it does it. But you can see there, I just launched an agent. What else can I do to make an agent more successful, you might be wondering? So what I can do is I can reference files. So I could be like, explain the structure of code in, and here I type the at key, or I could hit this at button, and then I can search across various pieces of context that Warp knows. So I'll search for this file here, which is where this input code actually lives. And if I hit enter here, it will use that as a reference. I'm not going to do it. I think it's straightforward enough. You can also attach images. So if I want to attach an image in Warp, I just hit this image button. I can bring in screenshots, and the agent can see the contents of the image, which is crazy, but it can. And so if you're building a UI feature describing a bug, it can even sort of understand text and images. So it's very powerful for working with images. You can also, if you want, pick which model you use. I recommend leaving this on auto, which as of today is Claude 4 Sonnet. But if you want to use Opus, you want to use an OpenAI model, any of these different models are available for you to try and use. The best one, though, that we recommend will be the auto choice for you. Okay, so that's some of the cool stuff that you can do with AI and Warp. I want to show you some other more general functionality. So at any time, if you want to run either a command or a prompt that you've ran before in Warp, you hit the up arrow. And, this will be easier to see if this is like a little bit lower on the screen. So I'm going to move my head here. You hit the up arrow and you get the command history. And so you can kind of go back, and you'll notice that in the command history, you also get agent mode history. So you can search through prior commands. You can search through prior agent mode queries, which is very nice. If you are in the middle of an agent mode conversation, and so let me move my head again, sorry, you can see over here what conversation you're in this sort of pink pill. And if I click on this, if I had more than one conversation, I could pick one, or I could start a new conversation. And you can also see how much of the context window is remaining until it gets summarized. So that's another feature. Finally, you can navigate right from Warp's input to different files. So if I wanted to go into a different directory, I could do this. If I wanted to go back up to the parent, I would do this, and it will run the terminal commands to navigate for you. And also, you can easily switch Git branches, which is super nice. And so these just execute terminal commands to do things for you. So that's cool. I'm going to show 2 or 3 more things. I don't want this to be too long, but Warp comes built in with completions. So if I hit Tab after typing a command and we know the command, we will give you completions. We will also give you completions for flags and documentation for what they do. This is a really handy terminal feature. You can search across any of your past commands by hitting Control R. And so this will let you search for, I don't know, all the curl commands I've ran, for instance. So this is like typical Control R behavior in a terminal that Warp supports. You can even do, let's bring something up like that again. I don't ever really do this, but you can do multiple cursors in Warp. So this is a full-fledged text editor down here. So if I wanted to do a cursor here, and let's say a cursor here, and I wanted to type 2 things at once, I could do that. I don't do that very often, but some people love doing that. So anyhow, Warp's input, if I had to summarize, it is where you tell your computer what to do. It has very, very helpful assistive features for attaching context, for editing text, for accessing prior commands that you've run, for managing your conversation, your Git branches, and where you are in the file system. Please be mindful of what mode you are in. For the most part, auto is where you want to be. But if you want to go into terminal mode or agent mode, you can do that. There's also a whole bunch of stuff around configuring this input that I didn't get into, which if you go over to settings and in features, you can kind of find some of the things in here in this editor section. Or in our appearance section if you want to change more aesthetic parts of Warp. So I hope this is helpful in teaching you how to input and launch agents and run commands in Warp.